Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Devonte. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of video, movie review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough, topic tier list, ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for Up, which I'm kind of surprised I've never reviewed, because this may be my second time watching the film. But yeah, I almost forgot how good this film was. This is a fairly good movie. And it has some very good, solid, emotional beats to it. It's very heartfelt. The beginning, I mean, I think most people who talk about this film, they talk about the first. Well, there's the beginning, but then when there's a certain section, certain montage people talk about that is still very effective, very emotionally effective, that get people teary-eyed and stuff. To me, I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good way of telling your story. And that section, you didn't even have to do a dialogue. And reminds me of, there was dialogue, but the way it was done in Searching with 2018, how you kind of have this montage and how it tells the story a very much more interesting way that really also gives you the emotional core of the character. So now you really feel for them, for the story that is about to begin. But before, the animation is very good from the company. I mean, my favorite is Wall-E, but, you know, Finding Nemo, Toy Story, a lot of good work's been done with animation and CG animation. And I thought the animation this looked very well done. The voice acting, Ed Asner, may he rest in peace. I remember him as the voice of J. Jonah Jameson in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. But of course, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in a lot of stuff throughout the years, and TV shows, and he does a really good job as the much older Carl. There's this little kid who wants to be a wilderness explorer kid, and, you know, throughout conversation you find out a bit what's going on with his home life. It's risky to have a kid in there because they could be annoying, aggravating, and irritating very quickly, but I thought this had enough of the innocent, bit naive, but that innocent quality to make it not annoying, but a bit endearing. When it gets to the adventure aspect, there's not a whole lot of speaking parts. Well, that's not true. It's not a whole lot of humans, I'll put it that way. Because you have the beginning, and, you know, but when the adventure starts, it's human-wise, it's the two of them, and then this character we see later, voiced by Christopher Plummer, who plays Charles Muntz. And that's kind of how it begins. There's this explorer named Charles Muntz that is found this place called Paradise Falls. He brought back the skeleton of this bird. Scientists and people said it was a lie. And he's like, screw you all, I'm going to go and prove my innocence. Now, one of the people that looks up to this guy a lot is this little boy named Carl, who would later grow to be Ed Asner's character. And we see how he's a big fan and how he believes in his hero. And then sooner or later meets another person who also is a fan, who also wants adventure, a girl named Ellie. And at this point, Carl is very shy and timid, while Ellie's much more loud, outspoken, outgoing, and pushes him to the point where he has this thing where he has his balloon, it gets lost, she goes go across this plank, this wood to get it, and I thought the timing of this was very well done, where he takes one step and he falls right through, and then he's healing in his room, and then the girl's able to bring his balloon back to him. And they start to bond, and then they start to grow to like each other, and eventually they become a couple eventually later on. And you see, I guess, the montage everyone always talks about when they talk about Up. It's them getting married, fixing the place up, and how they're having fun and they're enjoying life, and you see all the places they go to in terms of like this and the park here, under the tree here, at home here. And yeah, it was interesting to see how they did this all with no dialogue, and yet hit all the emotional buttons that you want to. So spoilers, starting now. There's like I said, the marriage, the fixing the place up, they want to have a baby, but then there's a miscarriage. And they save up money because they want to go to South America and go on this adventure that the hero, Charles Muntz, went on to Paradise Falls. But then a tire on the car goes out, or someone gets a broken leg, or a storm rips some stuff on the house, and they got to keep breaking their piggy bank to pay for that. And then at a certain time, we realize they have grown old together, they're happy. Carl gets the idea, now it's time, I'm just going to buy the tickets, but of course, as fate would have it, he does it, and is ready to surprise her, but she weakens, and she's in the hospital, and then next thing you know, there's the aftermath of a funeral. And you see him with that one balloon, and he's walking back home, and it does hit you in the heartstrings. It does. Because it hits the points that it needs to hit for you to understand what's going on without needing it to be explained to you for exposition. And you get enough of it, and you just see through their actions and the way they look at each other, and just that they're most definitely in love with each other, and just how tragic this and heartbreaking this would be for this character. And then sometime later, and he's now, you could tell just his aura, he's just much more sullen, much more angry, much more depressed, much more isolated. His home is there, but everywhere else around it is redevelopment, and they're trying to buy his place to demolish it, but he's not going to sell. Actually, one of the construction people, I didn't realize till watch it again, is John Ratzenberger. I mean, okay, yeah, he was in, of course, Toy Story films, he was on the TV show Cheers. He had a big role in this film, House 2, The Second Story. I like John Ratzenberger. Sadly, he's only in it for a little bit, but that was cool to hear him in this movie. And then one thing leads to another, and gets a knock on the door, and it's this kid wanting one more badge, because he has all these other badges, and this is to assist the elderly. And Carl's like, I don't need anything, leave me alone. And the kid keeps knocking, but then he'll keep reading the stuff, and in the hands of another person, this could be, okay, this kid's annoying, this kid's obnoxious. It's just that you really tell that the kid, he doesn't mean ill will, he means the best, he really wants to get this. There's a sincere quality to the kid that I think makes that work. And then Carl lies and says, oh, there's this one thing wrecking with my stuff. It's this bird. Go find it. Oh, yes, sir. Because he really wants that badge. And you find out later why he wants the badge so much. And of course, I mean, this is an animated film, so yes, there's going to be stuff that will be labeled ridiculous. Yes, so, I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't know if anyone would complain about that, but I'm just saying it just because. Carl gets the idea. What happens is the construction crew, one of them screws up his mailbox, which is very partial to, because that's something him and his wife made together and had their handprints on together. So it's precious to him. And so the guy's not listening to him, and so the guy gets smacked a bit in the head, to the point that Ed Asner's character has to go to a courtroom and is pretty much going to be forced to go into a retirement home. So he's like, screw that. He gets all these balloons, puts it on the house, it lifts up, and it goes through the city. And there's some fun reactions there. There's the window washer kind of going, and you see Ed Asner wave, and he's like, he doesn't know what to do, so he's like, I guess I'll wave back. I like that kind of hesitance of the guy. Just gave that nameless person a little bit more individual character of, I guess I'll say hey. And you kind of find out that the kid accidentally, he was doing something to help the old guy, so the kid accidentally put himself there. And now he's trapped with this guy, with Ed Asner. But again, at least the kid is not annoying or whiny or crying all the time. She's not. I should say he's not. Okay, a film I don't mind, but I did not like the kid, is Wreck-It Ralph. I like the movie for what it is, but I did not like the kid. Granted, it's Sarah Silverman, and I'm not a fan of hers to begin with, so that didn't help. But just as a character, I just found her annoying. I found her irritating. I thought decisions she made just made things worse. Here, like the kid, he means well, and it was easy to feel for him, especially as the movie goes on. You get little samplings that maybe his parents are divorced, and he misses his dad, and the reason he wants his badge is because of his dad. That maybe his dad would be there, and he hasn't seen his dad in a while. So, like at one point in the film, he talks about how you get this ice cream at this curb. And he's like, I really like that curb. And it's weird how, you miss the boring things. Which is true. It is true. It's very true. There are times, even if you haven't lost a family, a loved one, even if it's not part of the conversation, there are times you go by, you miss simple stuff. For example, I remember I grew up on a farm in Iowa. I remember there were times where it's late at night, 10 p.m., and I could walk outside and it'd be just completely quiet. Complete quiet, but you just see the expanse of stars. This is a farm in Iowa in the middle of nowhere. And, so it is those simple things you miss and you think about. And if you could go back one day, I think we all have many days like that. I thought the visual of the balloons tearing the house, it was a funny visual. Having to maneuver. I'm surprised no police officers, nothing, tried to shoot the thing down. Or anything in between. Because it's been a while since I've seen this, so I thought there's going to be much more resistance, but no, not a whole lot. Eventually a storm occurs, and one thing leads to another, and they're able to get to near where Ed Asner needs to go. And Ed Asner does a good job. He's an accomplished actor. Of course, he's the right voice, because he was the right age for this character. He's done voice acting before. I mentioned Spider-Man, the 90s cartoon, and he's done other stuff too, so he's not a newbie when it comes to voice acting. When it leads to another, he sees that he's got to go over here because the plan, he kept the promise, a cross your heart, hope to die promise, to have the house right there at that part. So he's got, with the help of the kid, bring the house over there. And then throughout their journey, they find this bird, very colorful, kind of like a rainbow, I don't know about rainbow, but very colorful bird. A lot of splashes, different colors. And the kid's fascinated about it, and even is able to lure it towards him with chocolate. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Roadrunner. A little bit like the Roadrunner. Which is not a bad thing, because I like the Roadrunner. So they find that colorful bird. They also find this dog named Doug. And they find out that, eventually we know why, there's dogs there with these collars that could speak English. And so this dog's name, I'm Doug. Will you please be my prisoner? Pretty please be my prisoner. So it's a dog that's not, the smartest dog, but, he's just doing what he's told, but he's nothing mean or rude or nothing, no animosity in this animal's body. And like I said, well, I didn't say this before, but it has probably been since the film came out that I saw this. I think it was 2009. It might be a few years after when I started working at the video store. Well, 2009. No, I would have been working at the video store at this point, I believe. I believe I would have been. I think so. I can't remember. But I can't remember now. Anyway, I want to say it was. I think it was, yeah, working at the video store. Anyway, yeah. And you just rent stuff for free. The reason I bring that up is I forgot that this is where the squirrel comes from. Because I would see, some people reference it and mention it in videos and reviews. And I would hear that. I thought it's kind of funny they did that, but what was that a reference to? And I realized, oh, it's here. Because a lot of times the dogs, they'll be talking and they go, squirrel! And then they'll go back to it, and is able to be used against the other dogs later on. So I thought that was a funny running gag. That actually does have some other importance to it later on that's used to defeat some of these dogs. And then on the trail are these 3 dogs. One is the alpha, but his voice thing is screwed up, so he sounds very chipmunk-like. And I forgot that one of the 3 dogs is Delroy Lindo. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. Because I like Delroy Lindo as an actor. I always thought he was a good actor. He was good in Ransom, and even like The One with Jet Li. Always a good actor, Delroy Lindo. So, Congo, stop eating my sesame cake! I don't give a shit what anyone says. I like Congo. I like Congo, and I'm not ashamed of it. I love Congo. Congo fucking rocks. There you go. Some people request, like me and Fabio, to watch some of these bad movies. Request us to do a commentary on Congo. Anyway. But yeah, Delroy Lindo. I'm surprised, I would think that at this time he's kind of a bigger actor compared with the others. That he was not doing a whole lot to do. But I mean, I guess it's not about those dogs. It's about the other characters. And even then, he's not the main dog. And the main bad dog is they want to do the thing with the voice. And if you do that, then you couldn't have Delroy Lindo's voice anyway. So. But I do wish Delroy Lindo had more to do. But just because I like him as an actor. Anyway, you go through this stuff where Ed Asner wants the kid to get rid of the bird, but eventually relents. Then the kid, wants the kid to get rid of the dog, then eventually relents. And then it's the 4 of them go on their journey to try to get this house to where it needs to go. Eventually, the bad dogs find them, at least some of them. They're taken to their master, which is Ed Asner, Carl's childhood hero, Charles Muntz. He's still alive. He's got his big blimp there. He's about 90 or so. And he eventually finds out the guy's gone a little bit crazy. And it's voiced by Christopher Plummer. May he rest in peace. And it's sad watching this. I mean, not sad. I do quite enjoy this film, but just that Ed Asner's passed away and Christopher Plummer's passed away. But, I mean, what can you do? Christopher Plummer, another good character actor. I think my favorite role of his will always be in Star Trek VI as the Klingon that would spout Shakespeare. I liked his death scene. To be or not to be. And then him and the ship blows up. After Kirk goes, fire! I'm like, fuck yeah! That's Star Trek, not this horse shit we have nowadays. No, I did not see Section 32 or Section 8 or see Section, what the fuck the Star Trek movie was called. It was probably shit. This is when it was actual Star Trek. So I always like Christopher Plummer. He does a good job here. And then again, it seems like everything's nice and cozy and fine as he's answering Ed Asner's questions, but then you start noticing some little screws are loose, and that apparently this guy has dealt with other outsiders because he's so mad and crazed and obsessed with getting this bird that if anyone that he thinks is going to get in his way, he'll try to end, so to speak. One that leads to another, you get a big chase scene where they escape because the bird was with them in the house. They all escape, where they're by the cliff and they gotta get near the cliff, and then the house keeps going and then they gotta swing to get to the other side of the cliff. You find out that the bird has babies and it's a female, so the kid really wants the bird to get to its kids. Which makes sense when you realize that this kid is part of a divorce. Like, he's part of a group, divorced. So the idea of a parent being away from the kids will obviously affect this kid very much so. Number one, because he's friends with the bird now. Number two, because I'm sure deep in the kid's head, if there was a way, a rhyme, a reason for him to be back with his father, as well as his mother, he would love to do that. I'm not saying that's the reason he put that in there, but that's just the connection I saw with it. In terms of, not just it's the right thing to do, but why the kid was so adamant to help this bird. Eventually, the bad guys get up to where our good guys are. Christopher Plummer says, I'll either burn this house or you give me the bird. He gives up the bird. He's like, all you guys leave me alone. All I want to do is get this house to where I need to go. Which is harsh, but he wants to fulfill the promise of his wife. And it really, at the end of the day, is a tale of letting go and dealing with loss. How you could tell that this woman was everything to this guy. Regrets of he wishes he could have taken her on these adventures and stuff, like to Paradise Falls. And then eventually he sees there's another section in the book where his wife had put all the pictures of their marriage, getting married, enjoying their lives together. And you have this sweet message going, thank you for the adventure. Now go find a new one. Something to that effect. I thought this was a very sweet-natured scene, because even, this woman who probably maybe had a feeling she was going to die before she was hospitalized, is I'm going to make this and wrote that in. Because why else would you write that in unless you know I'm not going to be here soon? So, like her literally saying, don't give up. It's not over. Whether you're 70 or 75 or whatever, don't give up. It's not over. Have as much of an adventure as you can. Because life's short enough as is. It can go by pretty fast, so have fun during it. Obviously, there's stuff you need to do, but don't forget to have fun doing it. Otherwise, you don't have to rework it if you're never having fun. Gotta rework it, as tough as it may be. And so for him, as tough as it may be, is I'm going to use this house to go get my friends. And then you have this finale where he gets on the blimp and is trying to get the bird out. The kid went off without him, and then the kid is shooting down these planes with these dogs in it trying to attack the old man. And this is where the kid uses, hey, there's a squirrel, and the dogs watch, and the dogs destroy their planes by themselves. Christopher Plummer and Ed Asner get into a bit of an old geezer fight. There's all this stuff going around here. Things work out. then pretty much they're able to get the bird to where it needs to go. They're able to get back home, and Ed Asner has a life with the kid. He's there at the ceremony for the kid, and if the dad wasn't, but the mom was there. And this collage of pictures, we realize they're friends and they're family. Not just the two of them, but the dog. I guess because Ed Asner now has the blimp, I guess he took all the other dogs with him too. Now they don't have a master, and now there's a scene where Doug kind of becomes the new alpha. Which I thought there'd be a bit more to that, like a bit more of a fight, a battle, something of that nature. Is pretty much the leader gets his head stuck. The Doug puts the cone of shame, the cone that you put so they can't bite or scratch and stuff, lick or stuff. Especially like if they have stitches, you put it on so they can't like bite their stitches out and stuff. But they call it the cone of shame. So I thought that was kind of a funny physical gag motif. It wasn't too long of a film. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was very beautifully animated. It has a good emotional core. The voice acting does a good job. Nice heartfelt message. No matter how old you are, it doesn't mean the adventure is over. And he was able to have pretty much be the father figure to this kid, since his actual father is wherever the fuck nowhere, wherever the hell he went to, and able to have this dog and enjoy life. I don't want to say never give up, never surrender, but that's another Tim Allen movie that's not Toy Story, but Galaxy Quest, which is another very good movie. But Up, I liked it. I do quite like it. I would say I like WALL-E more. Finding Nemo I'll probably put a little bit above this, but this is one of the good ones. I do like this. And yeah, I know it's Disney, it's Pixar, but this is when they made better movies, or they were part of better movies. Not anymore. So that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.